Thank you so much for coming and celebrating our superintendent, who we celebrate all the time, but in particular tonight, she is the Michigan's 2018 Superintendent of the Year. So, yes, congratulations. We are going to start this evening with a video, which won't take very long, but it will help set the stage for the comments that will follow. And we have some great leaders here, like everyone that is here is. But we're going to hear from a few leaders in particular about Dr. Jeanice Swift. So with that, I will turn it over and we'll watch the video. This is part of the application process.
Everything good in life, a cool business, a great romance, a powerful social movement, everything good in life begins with a conversation. Talking with each other one-to-one is human beings' most powerful form of attunement. Conversations help us to understand and connect with others in ways that no other species can. Over recent years in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we have been engaged in a conversation. We've been on a journey of community engagement, listening and learning, collaboration, partnership and progress, and key and critical areas that support our mission of serving the 18,000 children of Ann Arbor. We live in a diverse international community, and we value our diversity as a strength. 1 in 4 of our children come from a home impacted by poverty. 1 in 10 speak a language other than English. And 1 in 10 have needs documented on an individual education plan. We have focused our efforts to improve equity for our students, ensuring inclusion, access, and opportunity. Graduation rates have increased 5% overall since 2011, with key improvements in rates at which our African American students and students of 2 or more races graduate high school on time. In addition, we've dramatically reduced out-of-school suspension rates and continue to work to further reduce disparities. We have revitalized under-enrolled schools by offering the programs that our parents and community indicated they want for their children. This includes early childhood learning, expanding preschool and Young Fives opportunities across the district, STEAM education through Project Lead the Way at every campus in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, international baccalaureate programming, preschool through 12th grade at Mitchell Elementary, Scarlett Middle, and Huron High School, the expansion of world language opportunities, and technology updates across the district. We've accomplished these things while maintaining a robust, arts-infused learning experience for each and every child on each and every day of school. We have improved district stability in key and critical indicators, increased enrollment within a highly competitive Michigan education environment, improved fund equity, passing bonds and levies to ensure the district's future is strong for the short and long term. We have taken a stand in key areas for our students, navigating a court case on open carry laws to keep our students and staff safe, enacting model policies to ensure all students within our Ann Arbor community are respected, protected, and valued throughout our school environment. And particularly during this time of national rhetoric that marginalizes individuals within our community, we want everyone to know that in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we will see, stand with, and remain together in support of all our children, understanding that each of our 18,000 students brings a unique and beautiful presence to our classrooms. It is an exciting time in the Ann Arbor Public Schools as we are together, continuing on a pathway of growth, innovation, and success.
So with that, I would like to welcome Chris Weidman to the podium. Chris is the president of MASA. This is the organization that awards the Superintendent of the Year. And Chris has prepared some remarks for Dr. Swift, and we're so glad you're here, and we're looking forward to what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Does this fit into here, or
I don't know. You could just use that.
just hold on to it? All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First of all, before I start my remarks, I just want to commend Christine and the Ann Arbor Board of Education and the staff of Ann Arbor Public Schools who helped put together this event. I have never run into a more organized, more confident, wonderful group of people. And so thank you very much for making me feel so welcome and for having this so organized. It helps a lot.
Thank you, Amy.
Yay. So as Christine mentioned, my name is Chris Weidman, and I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Association of School Administrators. And in short, that is the Association for School Superintendents in the state. And we sponsor this Superintendent of the Year award every year. So every year, many superintendents from around the state are nominated by those in their district for the Superintendent of the Year award. Those who are nominated are considered to have shown tremendous effort and dedication to enriching the lives of children and the community as a whole. The Superintendent of the Year Selection Committee then meets to consider all of these nominations. This committee includes representatives from various education stakeholders, including superintendents, principals, teachers, and representatives from the State Board of Education, the Michigan Parent-Teacher Association, and local school boards. This group spends a lot of time discussing, debating, and deciding on who should receive this prestigious award. That is, until this year. This year was a bit different, and the decision was reached in record time. You see, it was easy for them, for me, and for all of you to know that this year, the 2018 Superintendent of the Year Award should be given to Dr. Jeanice Swift. It was clear from her nomination for this honor that Dr. Swift is a tireless advocate for the Ann Arbor Public Schools, as well as for public education in our state and throughout the nation. I have learned a lot about Dr. Swift from her application, from what people say about her, and also from what I have personally observed. For example, I know that she is very visible and that she is everywhere in this district. She is definitely out and about in the community, working hard to develop relationships that will be of benefit to the students and the school district. I know that Jeanice has demonstrated exceptional leadership to Ann Arbor Public Schools since her arrival in 2014. I also know that in a relatively short period of time, quality programs have been added, including a K-12 International Baccalaureate program, only the second of its kind in this state. I also know that not only has there been increased engagement with staff, parents, local businesses, and community organizations, but more importantly, that the academic performance of students in Ann Arbor schools has increased. And of course, that's the most important increase of all. We all know that it is clear that Dr. Swift is not a person who shies away from challenges, and that her leadership is paying off for Ann Arbor Public Schools, and most importantly, the students who attend school in this district. As an aside, I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that Jeanice is, and maybe most importantly, just a really nice person. Former newscaster Tom Brokaw once said, It is easy to make a living, but more important, it is much more difficult to make a difference. Dr. Jeanice Swift has definitely made a difference in the lives and the future of so many students and families in Ann Arbor, and it is with extreme pleasure and proudness that I present the 2018 Superintendent of the Year Award to her this evening. Jeanice, would you please come forward and receive your award? Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's an exclamation point?
Yes, it is.
And Chris, you didn't know this, but our theme of the year, staff, what's our theme this year? Inspire. Inspire. And the logo for Inspire is? The exclamation point. So that's really cool, isn't it? I don't think I get to talk till later, but I do want to. I just do want to say what a special thing it is for me to see all of you here. So thank you for that. Okay. All right, I'll be quiet till it's my turn. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite our representatives that are with us here this evening, Ms. Lisinski, Donna Lisinski, and Yusuf Rabi. So we're going to move you out from behind the podium because we all know we can see you better when you're not behind the podium. So I am so proud and honored to be here today. There are so many things in my heart. And when I learned that you had won this award, it was no surprise at all. But it means everything to me. Having served on the Ann Arbor Public School Board, I think there are people that you come across in your lives that you meet, and your intellect meets, and your heart meets, and your purpose meets. And I truly feel that when I met Dr. Jeanice Swift, that happened. And to know someone, and to know their heart, and to know their gift in life, and to see her giving her heart and her gift in life to my children, to your children, to all of our children, is something to me that I have rarely seen. Such alignment between someone's talent, someone's passion, and someone's gift, and their willingness to give it all every day in service to us and to our community. And my gratitude for that is just overwhelming. So as a small token, Representative Robbie and myself would like to present you with a resolution from the House of Representatives, along with Representative Adam Zemke, that spells out just a few of those things. And I had to say, I never knew you were a coach. That you coach and were a teacher. I knew you were a teacher, knew you were an administrator, but I also didn't know you were a coach. So it was fun for me to learn something new about you.
It was cheerleading.
Oh, it was cheerleading. Woohoo! There we go. I was going to say, now, see, she just left the door wide open for us to ask in the future for an example of her expertise in that area. So we'll leave that for another day. But really, it's a true honor. It's a small token, but the real gift that you've given for me, my family, my children, and our community. And I can't believe it's almost a year since I've served on the Ann Arbor Public School Board, is the gift you give to our community every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Take a quick picture.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to say a few quick words because I know that we have a lot of other speakers in this program. But I want to take this opportunity to echo some of the words of my colleagues. And I wanted her to speak first since she got to work with Dr. Swift for so many years on the school board. Dr. Swift, you're a constituent of mine, so thanks for being awesome. So here's what I want to say. It's a difficult time to be in education right now. You know that. Everybody in this room knows that. You're under attack just about every day. And the things that you do are that you change people's lives. You change kids' lives. You change the future of this country. And that is something that we are all, as a society, indebted to you for, indebted to everybody in this room. But you have exemplified over the years that you've been here in Ann Arbor, working for the kids of this community, you've exemplified leadership in a way that I don't think that we've ever experienced before. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you for leading this community during this difficult time, especially when we're seeing really bad bills come out of Lansing. Just today, we saw a really bad bill come out of the Senate around carrying guns in schools. It's unacceptable, but you have always held strong, just like you said in that video, when there's instances of discrimination, whether it's issues of underfunding our schools, whether it's issues of trying to allow more guns in our schools, you've always been standing up to those things and saying, we here in Ann Arbor, we're going to do things differently. We're going to stay the course because what we're doing is succeeding. It is helping our kids. It is helping our community. And ultimately, it is helping everyone here. So thank you for that. And I also want to say on behalf of Representative Adam Zemke, who could not be here because of the traffic on 23. He left Lansing on time. It's just they put 23 down to one lane. Emily Kindred from his office is here. Wave for the crowd, Emily. She took 127, so that's why Adam hired her, because she's the smart one. So she got the proclamation down here, but I just wanted to make sure to put a plug in. Adam Zemke really wanted me to say to you, Dr. Swift, that Adam's been working with you for a long time, and he wanted you to know how much he supports you, how much he thanks you for the work that you've done, and he wishes he could be here with you today, but unfortunately, traffic. So on behalf of all of us, on behalf of, I believe Rebecca Warren is also a signatory, as well as the governor and the lieutenant governor, thank you for your work on behalf of our community, and best wishes for many years to come of great leadership. So thank you.
I would now like to welcome to the podium Oliviana Baugh, one of our 12th graders, a senior at Skyline High School.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Okay. Dr. Swift, members of the board, and guests. My name is Oliviana Baugh, and I'm a senior at Skyline High School. I am honored by this opportunity to be speaking with you this evening. On behalf of Project Lead the Way, I want to say thank you to Dr. Swift and to the Ann Arbor Public School Board members. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for believing in us, the thousands of Ann Arbor Public Schools that have had or will have the opportunity to access Project Lead the Way. At the young age of 11, my father set my sister, my mother, and myself down in our rural southern Indiana living room and told us that he was awarded a new position in Michigan. My first thought was, I don't want to leave my friends and family. And my second thought was, it's cold up there. The state is physically in the shape of a winter apparel. But the day I walked into Scarlett Middle School, I knew that Ann Arbor was home. It was an awakening. I experienced a plethora of colors, of cultures, of community, of acceptance, of love. It was here that I blossomed. I became my own unique flower, equipped with the academic and social skills I would need to shine in this world. I had arrived, or so I thought. How could high school be better? Well, when I entered the halls of Skyline for the first time, I was greeted by the most beautiful orchestrated music, introduced to the most friendly faces. It was as I climbed the first rung of stairs and stepped into the large hallway ahead of me that I began to feel like there was even more in store for me. At the end of the long hallway were tables where students stood eager to meet me and my peers. The first table that I stopped at was DTEP, Design, Technology, and Environmental Planning Magnet. It was here that I had the honor to meet those who would, over the next 4 years, become my mentors, Mr. Tom Pachera, Mr. Charlie Sinavani, Mr. David Copeland, and the Miss Laura Schaefer, combined with the collaborative efforts of Mr. Robert Shannon and Mr. Craig Job in the BMIT Magnet. Together, their guidance built and enhanced my skill set. In the DTEP Magnet, I learned by doing, using the Project Lead the Way curriculum. It is through your generosity, Dr. Swift, and the Ann Arbor Public School Board, respectfully, that I make this possible. Through the PLTW curriculum, I learned to collaborate and tackle problems, some problems that may not even exist yet. You see, PLTW puts me and other Ann Arbor Public School members on the frontier of exploration, if you will, to solve problems before they exist. I work passionately alongside brilliant 17 and 18-year-olds daily. Together, we create products that will improve lives worldwide. It is true, PLTW curriculum opens our minds. In the words of Vincent Bertram, president and CEO of PLTW, we have all been taught to dream differently. Dr. Swift, as a representative from the Dream Differently generation that you brought to AAPS, thank you. It is my great privilege on the behalf of all of Project Lead the Way students and Ann Arbor Public Schools to congratulate you on being named Michigan's Superintendent of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for that, Oliviana. That was beautiful.
And your teachers, where are they? Oh,
We have several of the teachers and administrators from Skyline High School here. I'd now like to welcome our president of the AAEA, Miss Linda Carter, up to the podium.
Thank you. It's just so wonderful to be here among many of my colleagues and enjoying just a wonderful time in all of the things that you've brought to us, Dr. Swift. And so on behalf of the AAEA, thank you. These bright, wonderful flowers are for you. And I love mums. And there are a few union pencils in there to keep the flowers up. That way they're not falling down. So, but thank you. We're very proud of you.
thank you so much.
And continue.
Thank you, Miss Carter. That was beautiful. I would now like to welcome up to the podium the president of Quad A, Mr. Michael Madison.
First, it's an honor being here this evening to take on the role of representing the 62 members of the Ann Arbor Administrators Association. Without the effortless work that they do each and every day in the trenches for our school district, we wouldn't be sitting here today honoring our great superintendent. Being an elementary principal, this is going to be a call and response, so I'm going to need your help here. I spoke with Dr. Swift a couple weeks ago about this great honor. She said, it's not about me. She's very humble. It's about what we can leverage this honor for Ann Arbor Public Schools. But tonight, it is about you, Dr. Swift, and we're going to have some fun. I need you to help me spell her last name, and after each letter, I have some words to say. What's the first letter in her last name? S. S stands for two important words. Number one, students. She puts students as her number one priority in everything she does. Every decision, every thought process, every mission. She knows that without students, we all wouldn't have jobs. And she knows, therefore, that's why we are here, and students is her number one priority. The second S word is schools. She also realized that we can't send students to schools that are in disrepair, that are falling apart. So as you've seen over the last 3 years, we've come up with some bonds and millages to start fixing some of our buildings that are over 60, 50 years old, because without good buildings for our kids to go to, we would lose some of those kids. So those two S's, students and schools, strives with her first letter. What's her second letter? W. This is something that really got to me when she brought this concept to Ann Arbor, against what we hear the rhetoric out of DC. Welcoming. She wants every student and every family, no matter what religion, no matter what gender, no matter what language, no matter where they're from, no matter what ethnicity or sexual orientation, to know that this is a sanctuary city, that all kids are welcome. That is something that's got me, and I never will forget that, because not only has she said it, all of us believe in it now, and all kids indeed are welcome to Ann Arbor. So thank you for driving that home, Dr. Swift. Third letter? I. 3 words for I. Number one, intelligent. I have worked for 16 superintendents, and I have to say she is the most intelligent superintendent I have ever had time to work with. And that says a lot. Number 2, inspire. She inspires me to come to work each and every day when I should have retired 5 years ago. She inspires me to inspire my teachers, to inspire my students, and inspire my families, because leading, caring, inspiring is what she's all about. And number 3rd I word, improve. This is something you may not know. She strives to improve, to be better each and every day. She's not satisfied with the status quo. She wants to be better. She's seeking to improve. This lady's never done. She's always working. And those 3 words, intelligent, inspire, improve, signify the letter I. What's the next word, letter? F. This is the big one. Finances. She knows, as we see schools bankrupt, as we see schools consolidating, as we see buildings closing, as we see teachers being laid off, she knows the crutch to having a great school district. And we are great again because of Dr. Swift. And for a while, we weren't great. And I'll tell you, I remember the days that Ann Arbor was the greatest school in the state. But then we fell off the pedestal, we were back there again. But she realized in order to make that happen, we have to have finances, and we have to have a strong financial base. We have to have fund equity. We need to have money to make things operate. So she started thinking and scheming. How can I make this happen? She did the North Side reset, or a school that had gone from 300 kids down to 80 kids. People left the building. She said, what can I do to make that building back again, to make it where the community wants their kids to go there? And suddenly, out of nowhere grew Ann Arbor STEAM. And now that building is blooming. There's a wait list, and people want to go there. The people who lived in Northside, who pulled their kids out, now are putting their kids back into school again, and that brought money to Ann Arbor Public Schools. It cost a little bit of money to build STEAM, but it was worth every penny because now kids are going there. Second thing she did, we already heard about the IB program being a K-12 program, but what we forget to say is she had the wisdom to say, where should I put this IB program? Diversity, equity was the key thought process behind her mind, because we used to have the haves and the have-nots in Ann Arbor. She said, no longer will we have the have-nots. We need to do something in the southeast side of town to make sure we all have something for all of our kids. And she put the IB program at Mitchell, Scarlett, and Huron, and now all of them are brimming with kids, wait lines, and that's something that our committee will never forget what she did for the southeastern corridor. Also, she said, well, I still need a little bit more money. So she said, let's have the in-district transfer process up and running again. Therefore, the families who have kids in Ann Arbor who don't go to Ann Arbor will come back to us. For some reason, they didn't like the school that they lived, that their house was at, and they were not satisfied, so they pulled them out for charter schools. They pulled them out for private schools. They homeschooled them. By having in-district transfers, they could go to any school they wanted, and she knew every school was great. That brought back families that we had lost over years back to Ann Arbor. More money, more money, more money. Then her last item was schools of choice. Let's invite kids from around Ann Arbor, outside of our attendance area, to come to Ann Arbor, because we are the best school again. They will get the best education. And we opened up their doors to schools of choice, and I tell you, 700 more people showed up out of nowhere. And now that's why we have given all the Ann Arbor staff raises for the first time in many years, when we sat with salary freezes. Again, she's a wizard of finances. Her other secret with finances, she knows who to surround herself with. She got the genius of money in there. Mario, back in town again. And I tell you, that was a good hire. He left, he came back again. And I tell you, the two of them make a great team with the finances for a district. What's that last letter in her name? T. 3 letters, 3 words. Number 1, tenacity. Boy, she's like a pit bull, but she's toned down. In other words, she doesn't make a scene. She doesn't really make people upset, but what she wants, she gets. That's the tenacity. Number 2, teachers. She said, if I want kids to come to school here, if I want every kid to be my number 1 priority, I have to make sure every new teacher I hire is the best teacher, will service our kids right and do them right. Also, our existing teachers, no more mediocrity, no more average teachers. Every teacher had to be great for all of our students. No student deserves a year off from any grade they're in. They deserve a great year every year. So she made sure she provided PD for our teachers, made sure that they were given the necessary support if they were having trouble, and she trained all the administrators to know how to evaluate teachers, so we helped them grow and become better. That was very important. And the last T word, teamwork. She has fostered an amazing sense of teamwork and collaboration that I've never seen, engaging community members, engaging parents, engaging administrators, teachers, special interest groups, because without teamwork, no one would own all these new initiatives. No one would second guess her. And so she's brought that teamwork back to Ann Arbor, and with that, we become great again. So with that, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, this is one person that I believe deserved Superintendent of the Year, and that is Dr. Jeanice Swift.
Chris, I have to apologize for the shoddy nomination that we wrote. We should have had Mike Madison write the nomination. Yes, the national one, we'll be using that. Next, we'll hear from one of our parents and really a community leader in advocacy for every parent across the state of Michigan. That is Mr. Steve Norton. And I also want to congratulate Mr. Steve Norton, who's been involved in every millage campaign since 2008, on his enormous win and the team's win yesterday in renewing our special education millage across Washtenaw County.
Thank you, Christine. I can't take any credit other than maybe asking a few stupid questions for this millage campaign, but Christine took a huge lead, as she did back in 2008 when we first worked together on a millage. So I'm really grateful for that, very happy about the turnout. Your introduction was very kind, but let me return the favor to Dr. Swift. Mr. Madison's a hard act to follow, but when I first started hearing about Jeanice Swift coming to the district, and I hadn't been able to attend any of the meetings where she was being interviewed, but a friend of mine, a good old friend of mine, whose name shall remain, Glenn Nelson, told me that there was a lot of steel underneath that smiling exterior. And I say that now, several years on, there's absolutely no doubt of that, and we are all the better for it. It is not for the faint of heart to come from another state and to come to the state of Michigan and to try and run a school district when the system is so clearly and so heavily weighted against you, rigged against you. Dr. Swift walked into the situation when we had some of the toughest times that we've had in recent memory, and she was not afraid to tackle the problems, to turn to the community and find out what we as parents and what we as community members wanted from our public schools, and then to take some risks, and some of them were risks, but they paid off, to take some risks to try and turn things around, to do something different, and not to give in to the kind of despair that people like me feel when we come back from Lansing after a day like today. I would just wanted to say a couple other things, because I know that I'm supposed to keep this short. But two observations. One of them is that when we first met for, I'm now losing track, but one of the millages that we were doing, and it was just after Dr. Swift arrived. And we sat down, I think it was in the cafeteria annex at Pioneer, and her story is always that we told her what to say. But that isn't the case at all. She came in, and we didn't really know her, and I was kind of wondering how this was going to turn out. And she immediately came up with the best, the most on-target framing of the issue that any of us could have hoped for. And she has an instinct for understanding how these issues can be brought to the community in a way that really helps people understand their importance. And in that case, it was the idea of paying it forward, of our parents having invested in our schools and our facilities, and that we needed to do that for our children and grandchildren. It was exactly what was needed. It was exactly the right thing. And she came in with that kind of understanding and could bring that to our campaign. I was incredibly impressed, followed by the Listen and Learn tour, which I sort of mentioned, which I think has had parents community still talks about that. And it was incredibly important to understand that our school district was really listening to us, that the leader of our school district was listening in detail, both to what we hoped for, the things we were upset about, and everything else in between. She's been incredibly open to the parent leadership. Especially I serve on PTO Council. We have monthly meetings with her that are truly educational and extremely valuable. And she's been attending as many of our public meetings as she can and brings a tremendous amount of information and a depth of experience to those. I don't know how she keeps up with her schedule. And if you can tell me what you do or take to do that, I would be really, because I really don't know how she does it. But somehow she does. She does seem to be, as I think Mr. Reagan said, everywhere. And that's really important. It's important in a community like this, because the larger a school district becomes, the easier it is to feel that nobody's listening and that nobody cares. The last thing that I wanted to say, and not everyone might agree with me, but I personally, and we as a parent community, were incredibly pleased that Dr. Swift, along with the Board of Education, under the leadership of several folks who are here and some who are no longer here, took such a strong stand about the idea that we need to protect the children in our schools, and that there needs to be regulation on who and when people can bring firearms into our schools. Not only were we very proud of what they did, but it also, I think, became a sea change when the Ann Arbor Public School Districts, and particularly spearheaded by our superintendent, Dr. Swift, went out and took on these political forces in our state. I think it emboldened many other groups to do the same. I have not seen as many groups come out as strong on these bills as we have from the Michigan Association of School Boards, Michigan Association of School Administrators, like MASSP. I mean, there were a number of large groups that are typically cautious, and with good reason, because you can be penalized. But they have seen, I think, an excellent example of school leadership that has the backing of their community to say, no, we want to protect our children. And having seen that happen here, I think more and more leaders across the state are willing to do that. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough today, but perhaps it will be enough the next day or the day after, because that's what we really need in the environment that we have now. We don't just need someone to manage our school district. We need an advocate for our children in the greater sphere where the decisions are made that affect not only the education, but the health and safety of our children. So I'm extremely glad that Dr. Swift is here, that she has taken on that incredible task. I don't know exactly why she agreed to do that, but I'm very glad that she did. And I think that we can only do better from here. I can't wait to see what's next. So thank you very much, Dr. Swift. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Steve. As always, we appreciate everything you do every day for all of our families in Lansing. Our last speaker before myself, I'll be brief, and Dr. Swift, is Scott Menzel, and he leads the Washtenaw Intermediate School District, who also led the millage campaign and has a huge win from yesterday. But Scott, if you don't know him, he is a wonderful advocate for equity and opportunity across Washtenaw County, and we are hoping with his leadership that this will be the county that tells that story best across the state of Michigan and in the United States.
Thank you. So I threw out I have prepared remarks. I threw them out. We're going to do Jeanice, J. We're not. It was inspiring, but no, we're not going to do that. So I have 3 C's. It's a whole lot easier, and it will stick within my timeline. So the first is communication. So when Dr. Swift came to Ann Arbor, you all were probably part of her Listen and Learn tour, and that exhaustive and intensive time where she actually got to hear from the community what your vision for the Ann Arbor Public Schools was. Textbook for how every superintendent should come into a new district. And what most superintendents don't do, and it's the beginning of their demise when they don't do it. So Dr. Swift, thank you for first listening to the community and engaging. She is a leader in communication. She is a collaborator. So it might surprise some of you that it's not always been the case that the Ann Arbor Public Schools superintendent has been willing to collaborate with other colleagues within the county. Not that we don't want that, but there have been times where the relationship has been rockier. Dr. Swift is a natural leader as a collaborator. She understands that not only the challenges that she faces in Ann Arbor are important, but the context that we live in Washtenaw County, the state, and the nation are important. And so she is a communicator, a collaborator, and most importantly, she's a courageous leader. There isn't a challenge she's not willing to tackle when it's the right thing to do for kids. There's not a crisis she hasn't been able to manage. Hours and hours of stressful interactions, dealing with situations not of her own making, but she's able to stand up because she cares about the right things. She works for the kids and the community every day. And as a colleague and a friend, I couldn't be more proud, and I don't believe there's anyone more deserving of this award than you, Dr. Swift. So congratulations.
All right, you just have me waiting between, until we hear from Dr. Swift herself. And I just wanted to share with you all kind of in summary of what everyone else has said this evening, and that is really a story of how much leadership matters. I'll share a quote from a very important movie that I'm sure we all use when we talk about leadership, and that's A Bug's Life. And the first rule of leadership is that everything is your fault. When Dr. Swift arrived in 2013, in that fall, Ann Arbor Public Schools was just learning that we had lost 200 students. So we were going to be cutting our budget just a little bit more than we had already planned. We had been incurring years of tens of millions of dollars of cuts each year, and morale was problematic, to say the least. And instead of turning inward a little bit, Dr. Swift faced all of the community and everybody that was willing to talk to her in 92 listen and learn meetings in her first few months with us, to hear from everybody and really face people. And I want to acknowledge the trustees that are here as the elected officials that represent this community, but have been with Dr. Swift since she arrived. Trustee Glenn Nelson is in the audience. If you could just wave. Thank you, Trustee. And our current trustees, I'll call as I see, our Vice President, Susan Baskett, Trustee Jessica Kelly, Trustee Simone Lightfoot, Trustee Pat Manley, and Trustee Jeff Gaynor. I know I can't see him, but it could be just because I'm short. Okay, there he is. This is really a story of how much leadership matters, and I think Mike Madison articulated quite well just the kinds of programs she was able to put in place. In 1 year, she started 7 new programs, and we finally had a team through her that she grew that was capable of doing it. It was ambitious, it was bold, and we all took a leap of faith. Our fund equity, it was in the very low single digits, and we decided to build and incur a little bit more debt as part of a very confident leap of faith in Dr. Swift because of just who she was. It would have been easy as a Board of Education in the start of year 2. Everyone was in love with her. She couldn't go anywhere in this town and not be seen as a celebrity, to nominate her for the award at that point. But we didn't. We had a lot of superintendents. I've had 5 in almost 8 years of board service, including interims. And we needed somebody that could stay with us because leadership matters. And leadership does matter. Dr. Swift is starting her 5th year with us this year. And as we've all seen, our enrollment has grown, our district has gotten stronger, but more importantly, she has grown leaders from within. She has inspired the confidence in our community again, and everything that's important to everybody is starting to show progress. We still have a lot of work to do, as we all know. The difference this time is that we are willing to face that head on, just like we do everything else. And I just want to thank Dr. Swift for the enormous privilege it is to work with you. You make my job so much easier and truly inspiring. And I think all the people in this room that are leaders in their own right, but also look to you each day for inspiration, even when days are tough. And we've had several. I think you shared a quote not too long ago at one of the conferences you attended that as a leader, you don't get the luxury to be anything but inspiring. That is your job. So the tough days, people look to you to stand in front of everybody and say, it's going to be okay. And then you show them the way. And that is who we have as our Michigan Superintendent of the Year 2018, Dr. Jeanice Swift.
Okay, well, I so appreciate you all being here tonight. Is community still back there? And Jack Wagner, where are you guys? Give them a big hand. Weren't they just great? Don't you just love those guys? Thank you so much. I know we keep you busy at all of our functions, but it's because you're just so darn wonderful, and we love having you here. Thank you, Jack. I know you have children at home, so don't feel like you need to stay. I just thank each of you for being here. Here is the bottom line. Leadership is not a solo act. It happens on a team. And so every single one of you in this room, and parents, will you wave at us? Parents in the district, parents out of the district, there you are. And teachers and building leaders, all of you guys, wave at us. Where are you? Thank you so much. There they are. And community members, great job. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you, Chris Weidman, for driving through the traffic and getting all the way from Lansing. We really appreciate you being here tonight, and thank you for this tremendous honor. And I promise you, the very first day with Cabinet, I said to them, Michael, you nailed the whole thing. So, because he knows how we operate here. And that is, how can we leverage this opportunity to make a difference for our children and for all children in Michigan? So I want you to know we will not take this award as anything other than an opportunity to showcase quality public schooling as a cornerstone of our democracy, and the opportunity for each and every child to have opportunity in this country. Isn't that what it's about? Yes, absolutely. So I promise you we will use this opportunity, every chance we get, to leverage that story of quality public education. If you haven't been there yet, go to I Love Public Education and start tweeting out from that website, because we are in a battle. There is a conspiracy, and you will hear them use the term government schools. We don't use government schools, we use community schools, and more importantly, our schools, yes? And our children. I'm so grateful to our Board of Education, to Madam President, and to the members of the board, present and prior. Nothing happens without the governing body being on the page. So thank each and every one of you. I know many times it would have been much easier for you if Swift would have just piped down just a little bit. And yet, every time you made the courageous decision, you made decisions on the side of children. I'm so grateful to my team, to our teachers, to our building leaders, and to our staff, who are, I say to the team, you are the currency on which this work gets accomplished every day. Because I don't do this work. Our team does the work. So I thank you for that, and I honor you for that every day. We know our success rests on team, and we all benefit from this extraordinary team in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. I am so grateful to everybody that's traveled the path. Mr. Glenn Nelson was the first person I met in Ann Arbor, period, and that was because he chose to break the rules in the vestibule of the hotel. So hallelujah. And It was just that we were the only two folks out there, so we greeted each other and then figured out we were going to get to know each other a little bit better in the following hour. And I think later on, Madam President had a word with him, and I'm so sorry, Glenn. But it was great to meet you then and to get to travel the path. From the very beginning of this work, in that first fall of Listen and Learn, I still remember those meetings. And I still remember that this community came out to say what their hopes and dreams were. That doesn't happen in every community across this country because, quite frankly, dreams have been stolen from public education and from communities across this country. And yet in Ann Arbor, folks still were committed. And they showed up, and hundreds of folks came out. And by the end of that time, I felt like I knew what was in the hearts and minds. It has been our hope all this time to be in conversation, to be in a relationship, and to be in partnership. So I'm extremely uncomfortable with all the stuff about Swift, although I love that Michael did it just like an elementary principal would. I love that. I'm uncomfortable with that part, but I'm extremely comfortable with this being about community, because that's what it's been about from day one, about our community, knowing that we can work together. We can purpose together in our hearts and make up our minds, and we can go accomplish amazing things for children. As we say in Ann Arbor, A together. So I promise we'll wrap up because I feel like there's more food back there. And but I am always reminded, and I have to say it tonight, that we always ask the fundamental question, how are the children? And you know that if you give me half a minute, I refer to the Kenyan tradition, that it is said that the traditional greeting of the Maasai people of Africa was a simple one. How are the children? This is reportedly still the traditional greeting of the Maasai, acknowledging the high value placed on the well-being of children. Even warriors with no children of their own would always give the traditional answer, all the children are well. This meant that peace and safety prevail, the priorities of protecting the young and the powerless are in place, that the Maasai people had not forgotten their reason for being, their proper function, and their responsibilities. All the children are well means life is good. It means the daily struggles of existence, even among the most disadvantaged, include the proper care of the young and of the defenseless. So I'm so proud of what we've accomplished, and yet every day you and I are reminded of the tremendous hill we still have to climb. Because when I say, how are the children, we want to be able to answer what, team? All the children are well. And we can't say that yet. So that means we've got a lot more work to do. I feel really privileged to be called to this work. And I feel really privileged to be in this partnership with each and every one of you and with our community. I am so delighted that this evening we're going to be talking about our next tour to see what the community wills for the coming 5 years of the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Aren't you excited? I can hardly wait. But I'll tell you, I want to hold, as Steve so beautifully said, I want to hold our legislators, and we have really great legislators here tonight, but I want to hold them all accountable to the question, how are our children? Because I feel like on so many days, that's not the focus, and it should be our focus. I consider it a great honor to serve the Ann Arbor Public Schools, and I am so privileged to get to be here tonight. Thank you all for coming, and students, we're going to get you credit and get you extra credit for your assignment, so great. And thank you all, and let's make it a great evening. I know the board meeting starts in about 1 minute. And so I know all of you don't want to stay for that great fun, but some of us do, right? Yes, they do. All right. Thank you so much. From my heart to yours, thank you. Thank you.